Snowflakes falling big and round, twinkling lights choking out the sound. Candy canes and gingerbread, the smell of Christmas makes me see red. Santa hats on every head, I wanna burn them, leave them all for dead. Oh, it's Christmas, what a drag! Tinsel dreams in a plastic bag. The joy, the cheer, it's all pretend. Come on, let's go piss off your friends. Shiny bows on every gift make my teeth ache. Skating rinks and snowy drift feel so fake. Hot cocoa spills on frozen ground. The carolers sing, I just want them drowned. Deck the halls, yeah, deck them with rage. Rip the script, tear up the stage. Silent night now, scream it loud. Flip the slate, crush the crowd. Oh, it's Christmas, here we go. Fake smiles under mistletoe. The lights, the bells, it's all a scam. Come on, let's go ruin the fam. Snow keeps falling, bury it deep. This town's joy is a promise I won't keep. Christmas is here, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and cheer. I'll be outside smashing reindeer. Oh, it's Christmas, what a drag. Tinsel dreams in a plastic bag. The joy, the cheer, it's all pretend. Come on, let's go piss off your friends. Oh, it's Christmas, here we go. Fake smiles under mistletoe. The lights, the bells, it's all a scam. Come on, let's go ruin the fam. Snow keeps falling, bury it deep. This town's joy is a promise I won't keep. Christmas is here, yeah. Go ahead and cheer. I'll be outside smashing reindeer.
Tiny feet go pitter-patter down the snow-lit halls, checking names and checking twice behind those candy walls. Naughty sneaks and nice daydreamers written big and small. I'm the Christmas elf, I'm on the case, looking for the grins on every face. Naughty or nice, I see it all. I'm the Christmas elf who hears your call. Glitter, dust, and peppermint swirl in my little sack. One for joy and one for kindness, always got your back. Snowflakes dance and whisper secrets as I make my track. Santa's list is long and wild, but I know every single child. I'm the Christmas elf, I'm on the case, looking for the grins on every face. Naughty or nice, I see it all. I'm the Christmas elf who hears your call. Oops, a giggle caught my ear. Was it mischief or good cheer? Spill the cocoa, tell me quick. Are you clever or a trick? I'm the Christmas elf, I'm on the case, looking for the grins on every face. yourself who hears your call.
One takes us to the southeast, the Sunshine State of Florida, Osceola County in particular. Take a look at this video. All right, this is what we're seeing right now. Marcos Lopez, the suspended sheriff of Osceola County, he made his first court appearance via Zoom from jail this morning on felony racketeering charges. You're watching this video right now. Lopez was taken into custody yesterday in his uniform. Look at that. So now for more on what he's charged with, we're going to bring into the conversation our friend and colleague there at Fox 35 Orlando, reporter Marie Edinger. She joins me. Marie, so good of you to be with us here. I would say this was quite shocking. We've covered a lot of arrests in a lot of places, but not many for law enforcement in particular. What's going on?
Sure. So the sheriff, as you mentioned, has charges for racketeering, also conspiracy to commit racketeering. Those are both first-degree felonies. Each could come with up to 30 years in prison. The Department of Homeland Security actually led this investigation. It's the Attorney General for the state of Florida who is leading the charges, though. The investigation stems around an illegal gambling house that the sheriff is accused of essentially running. So he is accused of having a number of slot machines there, of running a lottery out of it. This is all taking place in Kissimmee, which is in his district. But the investigator.
So the reason I chose this case, hold on, guys, I'm gonna shut this fan off. The reason I chose this case is because it shows that, damn it, hold on, guys. Okay. It shows that our law enforcement officials aren't always on the up and up. Much like Millersville, you can see there's crooked cops everywhere, all over the United States. This cop, in general, I've been following this, ran this elaborate gambling scheme down in Florida. His wife has been charged. She's pled guilty. They were collecting money, and this was just going on for a really long time. I think it's worth listening to because I think that a lot of small towns have the same problem going on, and usually it leads to bigger organized crime. I'm shocked this cop ain't talking further.
Say that it also spanned into Lake County. That's where he is in jail right now. The investigators also say that he used his position as sheriff in order to further the gambling station's profits and to obstruct an investigation. There's actually some mention made by prosecutors today about him showing up at or during an investigation while deputies were there at the gambling house and interfering. So those are allegations they're making as well. Today, he pleaded not guilty. That just came down maybe 20 minutes ago through the court system. He was given a $1 million bail, $500,000 for each of those. I talked with a criminal defense attorney who told me today that in order to post that bail, he'd have to give a bail bondsman $100,000 and he'd have to cover $900,000 in collateral to cover the $1 million total for the bond. The judge said today that in order to post bail or to post bond, that he would have to prove to the court that none of the money that he is posting came from anything having to do with illicit activity. So he has to have a court date first in order to prove that or to prove that to the state. So he could be here for quite a while.
The man who, up until yesterday, served as the sheriff of Osceola County, today appeared before a judge wearing jailhouse orange.
How do I start the bond process?
The judge set Sheriff Marcos Lopez's bond at $1 million. A criminal defense attorney told me today he was shocked by that.
Why do you feel it's excessive?
It's not meant to punish someone. The amount of a bond is to make sure that someone does not, it's not a flight risk.
Prosecutors argued the nature and circumstances of the case justify the bond, and the judge agreed. The state claims they have texts, WhatsApp messages, wire transfers, and more, proving the sheriff earned $600,000 to $700,000 in this alleged criminal enterprise. And they say they have photos that don't just show he was at the gambling house, but that he used his position as the sheriff to obstruct a criminal investigation there.
An extreme breach of public trust, the circumstances surrounding his misuse of office,
as the sheriff of Osceola County are very serious.
2 of the 4 co-defendants also had their first appearances today. Carol Cote was up first.
I have 3 young, small children.
She was given a $100,000 bond. She's already posted that and been released. Next up,
Sharon Denise Fedrick.
Sharon Fedrick's criminal history is messy. She has tons of charges and a few convictions for things like identity theft, grand theft, organized fraud, and that's not all.
8 felony grand thefts in Lee County from 1993. She also has federal history.
She did 2 years in federal prison for lying to the IRS back in 2005. She's been in and out of jail in Orange County since 2016. She was just arrested again 2 months ago for 3 active warrants out of Orange County. You want to guess where deputies caught her? The Eclipse, the gambling house at the center of this investigation.
A question I would have would be, how does this officer find these criminals that have such a long, extensive background? Why is he using the criminals to do this? That's a real dumbass thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, this woman already got charges for similar crimes, and here's the sheriff using her as a means to make money and launder money and extort money, and just really taking his placement as a sheriff to another level above the law.
Fedrick remains in custody in Lake County. Well, that makes it difficult for her to appear in Orange County. So there's a fair logistical problem there.
The judge didn't buy that argument. Fedrick got a $300,000 bail.
The judge said today that if Sheriff Lopez is able to bond out, he would have to wear an ankle monitor. He'd have to turn over his passport. He would have to turn over his guns as well, and would not be allowed any contact with any of the 4 co-defendants. As I mentioned, 2 appeared in court today, but 2 have not yet been booked into the Lake County Jail, so we're still awaiting that. I'll also mention that the Attorney General's office says there could be more charges or more people charged. This investigation is still ongoing. Andrew?
Marie, just one question for you. Who's in charge in Osceola County right now? Who's the top cop?
Yeah, so the governor appointed somebody who was a head for the Florida Highway Patrol in this area to take over in the interim. There would be a special election, but that wouldn't be until the next 2026 election.
So in other words, this cop's crimes had left that sheriff's department without a sheriff. Without the main guy. Like, who's in charge now? They have to appoint somebody, they have to wait for somebody to come into office, then there's going to be a special election. That's just too much, and it hurts all the people in his own fucking community. I hope this guy goes to prison for a long time.
Scheduled.
All right, Marie Edinger there, live for us with Fox 35 Orlando. Marie, thanks for bringing us this important story. We'll talk soon. Have a good weekend.
Sure thing, you too.
On here today to kind of break this down for us. And this is 2 co-defendants yesterday that have now pleaded guilty to money laundering charges. In the case of Robin Severance Lopez, Jose, this is a lesser charge than what she was previously facing in connection here. And it appears going to avoid further jail time with this plea deal. What's your reaction to what you saw with her plea deal specifically?
Well, we remember she was out on bond. They revoked her bond, put her back in jail, and now it's when you don't have any time and you're in custody, you're going to take a deal. What they did was they offer her a lesser account, which is money laundering, which is different from RICO or racketeering. Money laundering deals specifically with one particular action. For example, you receive money in this particular case, you receive money knowing that it was illegal, illicit money. You try to what we call money laundering. So it's very specific. On the other hand, racketeering is you don't even need to participate in the actual crime. The simple fact of just being in an agreement to participate, in an illegal activity, and you can be distant yourself from the actual action. So it's a lesser count. It's a 3rd-degree felony, which is punishable up to 5 years. She got 24 months probation. She can technically terminate at 12 months. What's interesting about this is that if you read the 3rd page of the plea form, right, it says that she must be available to testify at the trial proceedings, anything that's relevant to this information without subpoena. So they don't even need to subpoena her. They can just tell her, we need you here tomorrow for Marco Lopez trial. And she
So, in other words, the girl took a plea deal to testify against the sheriff.
needs to show up and she'll have to testify.
She had previously rejected a plea deal, Jose. We heard a conversation about that in the last time that we saw her in court. And one of the reasons that they said she had kind of turned that down was because she didn't want to be adjudicated guilty, and so was not interested in a plea deal. What do you think changed to now see a guilty plea?
Well, I mean, the reality is that, and that's the reason, the prosecution, violated her second time and put her back in jail. When you're in jail, in the judicial system, if you have time and money there, you can get a lot of results. Money, you can hire experts, attorneys, time, but she did not have any time. She's in custody. She has a minor son that's outside. She needs to get back home and take care of it. So you have to wait. What are the pros and the cons? And, at this particular deal, she took the deal. Otherwise, his trial could have been taken several other months. A big toll on you, on your family, your financials, and sometimes it's a decision that you make to take the deal and move on.
In Krishna Diakaran, one of the other co-defendants in this case, he was expected to testify that he handed Severance Lopez an envelope of cash back in 2022. So if you were Robin Severance Lopez's defense attorney and you heard that or you saw that, you learned that was going to come out in court, at that point, does that kind of change the math too, Jose, as far as what you may be recommending for your client, whether to change their plea or not?
You do, but you also have to take it with a grain of salt, right? These are individuals who are offered some kind of immunity, some kind of plea deal if you give us testimony. Prosecution will tell you, you want to help yourself, help us. What can you tell us? So, you always have the opportunity to take the case to trial and cross-examine their motive. And that's one of the questions you would ask them. Did they give you a better deal because you testify? Then you're going to start breaking into their testimony, trying to attack their credibility. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, when you have an offer of probation, you get to go home today, no more jail exposure, something you have to think about it. And some individuals, they don't want to be in jail. It's a very tough place to be.
Now let's talk about.
So this witness, the girl we just seen in the last news clip, she didn't want to take the plea deal because she didn't want to be adjudicated guilty. Well, she must have sat in jail long enough and thought about it, because then there would be a trial. My thoughts on it is there was too much evidence against her. She really had no choice but to take the plea deal. That's just what I'm thinking.
Really the only co-defendant in this case who has not entered a plea. Do you expect his case to go to trial, or do you think we will eventually see a plea deal with him as well?
Well, it's a classic example of the last man standing. He's the last individual. And what's ironic in this case, the person who's on top of the organization, allegedly who was running the organization, opening up the gambling homes and making, benefiting the most financially, that person, he's received a deal from the state. This particular case, perhaps they've given them a plea deal, but he hasn't accepted. The state will come in, give you a deal, take it or leave it. If you don't like it, you can go to trial. So it's a waiting game, but he's not in a good position right now, because if he decides to go to trial, the state has a bus full of witnesses that come in and testify. So just a matter of waiting and see whether they can come to some kind of agreement that he can accept. I assume that most likely it's going to involve jail time, but at the same time, you got to take a risk at some point. Sometimes the offer is so bad that you have nothing to lose. For example, if he scores X amount and they're offering a long time in prison, sometimes you have nothing to lose but to take the case to trial and have your day in court.
But it would have to feel like, if you're Marcos Lopez or his attorney, that the walls are kind of closing in on you now that everyone has pleaded guilty and, as you said, would be available to testify against him.
It would. The problem with this case is it has a lot of counts, several counts, 10 or 12 different counts, and you only need to be adjudicated guilty of one, or found guilty by a jury of one to have the maximum sentencing exposure. So it's a very risky operation, in the sense that you have to really risk what can the jury come back guilty with, or what can the state prove. It's a lot of witnesses, but at the same time, we have all these other co-defendants that have turned against you. It's a great opportunity to tell the state, you took everyone else, you gave everybody a deal, and my client's here today because he's innocent. He wants to stay in trial because he's innocent, because all the other witnesses that you have, they all pled guilty, and they had a motive to come in, testify, and give a proffer and cooperate with you against my client. That would be the argument if you're the last man standing.
At the same time, these are serious charges against Marcos Lopez, especially when you consider that he was an elected official. Do you think there's anything to it to where maybe prosecutors as well wouldn't want to see him with a plea deal and instead want this to go to trial to make a point? Do you think it waters it down at all if he ends up pleading guilty to potentially lesser charges?
Absolutely. And here's the issue with this case. They're focusing the prosecution on somebody who has a lesser involvement in the crime. Karen, who actually pled guilty yesterday, he was allegedly the head of the organization. Marco Lopez's involvement, what the allegations are, that he aided or abetted or helped this organization. But usually in the judicial system, you're after the big fish. The big fish pled yesterday. The big fish got a deal from the state. And what are we doing right now? We're focusing on the little.
So there were other people arrested. I'm going to have to look into it and find out who the big fish were. He said he was just a part of it, the sheriff. So the sheriff just helped this bigger criminal organization. Could that be something Ronnie Lawson does in Summer's case? Speculating.
Fish. We're focused on the little fish because he's a public official. But the reality is there's nothing in the statute. When it comes to racketeering and some of the other charges, money laundering that he has, there's nothing in the Florida statute, in the law, that says that you must get an enhanced penalty for being a public servant or being somebody that's involved in the community. That's not an element of the crime. That's not an element that the jury needs to determine. Now, does he have additional charges, perhaps doing accepting money during the campaign? Those are minor charges. But as far as the racketeering, there's nothing that enhances the penalty when you're a public figure. He should get the same treatment and the same sentencing, or actually less, that the other individual who's in head of the organization.
So he's due back in court, Marcos Lopez is, for a plea negotiation conference scheduled for December 2nd. What will you be watching for now as this case moves forward, since he is the last man standing, as you said?
Well, plea negotiation conference is not necessarily a plea. It's a status. At this, I think there's negotiations going back and forth. I think the fact that his estranged wife is now out home, she's taking care of her children. I think that's perhaps in a strategy. You say, listen, I'll take the heat. I'll do the time. Take some kind of deal, or if he wants to go to trial. Right? But the main focus right now is the judge is going to say, listen, this case has been going on for 5 months. All the witnesses have already entered a plea. We're ready to move forward. What are we going to do with this case? Are we going to take it to trial, or is there an offer? Now, and in this conference, a lot of times the judge is going to look and say, listen, what is the offer from the state? What does he score? At some point, if he doesn't like the offer from the state, or the offer from the state is above what we call the score, the guidelines, he can also do an open plea. An open plea is when you tell the judge, listen, I don't want to go to trial. I don't like the state's offer. Can you sentence me? And that might be another option that every defendant has in our judicial system.
So Rivas, criminal defense attorney, we always appreciate you joining us and breaking this down for us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus. Good talking with you again today.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Lopez, you were here this morning in Lake County case number 2025 CF 1479. It's a warrant that was issued for you for 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering.
Florida authorities charged Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez with racketeering after he was arrested in connection with a sprawling criminal gambling operation in the Sunshine State. Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order suspending Lopez from his position after the sheriff was accused of being involved in a massive illegal gambling operation and public corruption scheme that generated over $20 million in profits. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer recently published a statement concerning the matter, saying, quote, "Public servants should never exploit the public's trust for personal gain. Our statewide prosecutors will hold Sheriff Lopez, his associates, and all lawbreakers accountable." Lopez was charged with 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering, both first-degree felonies under Florida law. The state accused Lopez of advancing the interests of the illegal gambling enterprise and collecting profits in reward for his involvement after he was elected sheriff in 2020. Lopez and 4 associates allegedly managed a gambling house out of a business known as the Eclipse Social Club, according to the charging documents. The Department of Homeland Security, which was involved in the investigation, posted a video.
It sure is, Debbie. It definitely is. But the problem here is that I know things. I have friends that have been arrested and have been assaulted as a child in juvenile detention centers. 2023, We Could Bring You Hope is attached to a lot of judges. In Summer's case, lots of crazy shit. Let me see if I can find a screenshot, because it has to do with Summer's case. In 2023, my husband got a threat to my phone. Hold on, I'm looking for my gallery. And the threat had a judge's son's name that we know in personal life in it. I'm going to show it to you, because I've been out here calling Brian O'Toole out for at least a year, almost a year. And he is 100% a judge's son. What I want to know is, why is he playing fuck shit games in this missing kids case, and why am I getting threats? March, April, hold on, we're going to 2023. They may have been erased from this phone, but I have them on my other phone. Let me search for them, because I want you guys to see the threats I was getting over Summer's case from a judge's son right here in Pittsburgh. It doesn't make sense to me. It's concerning, to say the least. Oh, our American Bar Association don't even help. Try to call them for help. They don't help nobody. They just collect money and they tell you, oh, I'll give you a phone number. I'll do this. I'll do that. You know what? We have free attorneys here in Pittsburgh that they don't even allow nobody to fucking utilize. It's crazy. Hold on, because I'm really digging for this screenshot. I want you guys to see this. I'm going to let this play while I look.
Video of Lopez's arrest to social media. Lopez had been with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office since 2003. He is now being held at the Lake County Jail.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Marcos R. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, you were here this morning in Lake County case number 2025 CF 1479. It's a warrant that was issued for you for 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering.
Florida authorities charged Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez with racketeering after he was arrested in connection with a sprawling criminal gambling operation in the Sunshine State. Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order suspending Lopez from his position after the sheriff was accused of being involved in a massive illegal gambling operation and public corruption scheme that generated over $20 million in profits. Florida.
My phone is dead. I gotta let it charge because they're not on right now, so they're not working. I'm gonna charge it. When I come back tonight, I'll show you the threats I got from a judge's son here in Pittsburgh. I also want to tell you about this judge's son. I have a friend named Chris Pallone who had passed away a couple years ago. Prior to him passing away, he had given me some information on human trafficking, where I had gone and found my sister in Canton, Ohio. He told me where my sister would be. And that's because he told me this judge's son was also human trafficking people up to Canton with a man named Brian Ketterman. Now, I don't know if any of this is true, but it's concerning for me since they waited till Summer's case to say, I'm on your roof, homie. Meet me at apartment 210, bring backup. That's what the text message said. I don't know if it was sent to me on mistake. But I'm definitely going to show it to you guys by the end of the day. But that came from a judge's son. And this judge's son would know people from We Can Bring You Hope, considering he runs Rossi's pop-up flea market in North Versailles, Pennsylvania, and Versailles, Pennsylvania. North Versailles. Yes. So there's just a whole lot to it that I prefer not to come out here and talk about. But I'm hoping, because I did turn it in, so I'm hoping that the police will catch on to it one day. I've been talking to a missing persons detective. I've told you about that. It's been quite some time since I've spoken to him. It's time for me to call and check in with him, I believe. And there's another missing person in Pittsburgh with the last name Ketterman that connects to We Can Bring You Hope. And this judge rented out buildings and all kinds of stuff his son owns.
Attorney General James Uthmeyer recently published a statement concerning the matter, saying, quote, "Public servants should never exploit the public's trust for personal gain. Our statewide prosecutors will hold Sheriff Lopez, his associates, and all lawbreakers accountable." Lopez was charged with 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering, both first-degree felonies under Florida law. The state accused Lopez of advancing the interests of the illegal gambling enterprise and collecting profits in...
You see, that's my MO on coming out here and reporting all the corruption in our court systems and with our police and with our law officials, because it happens. And there's something going on. It ain't normal for you to get, this is for Brian O'Toole, homie, there's someone on your roof or some shit. I'm going to show it to you guys.
In reward for his involvement after he was elected sheriff in 2020. Lopez and 4 associates allegedly managed a gambling house out of a business known as the Eclipse Social Club, according to the charging documents. The Department of Homeland Security, which was involved in the investigation, posted a video of Lopez's arrest to social media. Lopez had been with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office since 2003. He is now being held at the Lake County Jail.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Marcos R. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, you were here this morning in Lake County case number 2025 CF 1479. It's a warrant that was issued for you for 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering.
Florida authorities charged Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez with racketeering after he was arrested in connection with a sprawling criminal gambling operation in the Sunshine State. Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order suspending Lopez from his position after the sheriff was accused of being involved in a massive illegal gambling operation and public corruption scheme that generated over $20 million in profits. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer recently published a statement concerning the matter, saying, quote, "Public servants should never exploit the public's trust for personal gain. Our statewide prosecutors will hold Sheriff Lopez, his associates, and all lawbreakers accountable." Lopez was charged with 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering, both first-degree felonies under Florida law. The state accused Lopez of advancing the interests of the illegal gambling enterprise and collecting profits in reward for his involvement after he was elected sheriff in 2020. Lopez and 4 associates allegedly managed a gambling house out of a business known as the Eclipse Social Club, according to the charging documents. The Department of Homeland Security, which was involved in the investigation, posted a video of Lopez's arrest to social media. Lopez had been with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office since 2003. He is now being held at the Lake County Jail.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Marcos R. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, you were here this morning in Lake County case number 2025 CF 1479. It's a warrant that was issued for you for 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering.
Florida authorities charged Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez with racketeering after he was arrested in connection with a sprawling criminal gambling operation in the Sunshine State. Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order suspending Lopez from his position after the sheriff was accused of being involved in a massive illegal gambling operation and public corruption scheme that generated over $20 million in profits. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer recently published a statement concerning the matter, saying, quote, "Public servants should never exploit the public's trust for personal gain. Our statewide prosecutors will hold Sheriff Lopez, his associates, and all lawbreakers accountable." Lopez was charged with 1 count of racketeering and 1 count of conspiracy to commit racketeering, both first-degree felonies under Florida law. The state accused Lopez of advancing the interests of the illegal gambling enterprise and collecting profits in reward for his involvement after he was elected sheriff in 2020. Lopez and 4 associates allegedly managed a gambling house out of a business known as the Eclipse Social Club, according to the charging documents. The Department of Homeland Security, which was involved in the investigation, posted a video of Lopez's arrest to social media. Lopez had been with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office since 2003. He is now being held at the Lake County Jail.
Could you tell me your name, please?
Marcos R. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, you were here this morning in Lake County case number 2020.
Here's a whole playlist. We could watch it again another day because I want to hear about his wife, and I thought I had that up, but I guess I didn't. We're going to move on because I only got about 20 minutes left here. We're going to move on to Melodee Buzzard. I'm just learning the case. I've watched very little about it. I'm going to learn it with you. You guys can fill me in, those of you who have watched it. It's an interesting case from what I've seen. Mom wearing wigs, getting arrested, has been let go, and all the while this little girl's missing right after she goes on this very big, long, extensive trip to Utah and Nevada. This baby could be anywhere in the United States, and I think that we need to get her picture out there. So let's listen to what Court TV said.
9-year-old Melodee Buzzard has vanished under troubling circumstances. School officials flagged her absence last week after she failed to enroll in her independent study program and hadn't been seen in months. Deputies visited the Mars Avenue home and found only her mother, Ashley Buzzard, who offered no explanation for Melodee's disappearance. Investigators say Melodee was with her mother as recently as October 7th and may have been transported hundreds of miles away in a rented white Chevrolet Malibu, possibly as far as Nebraska. The mother remains uncooperative, and missing child signs now line the neighborhood as family members demand answers. The FBI has joined the search, but the trail remains cold, and the question still looms. Where is Melodee Buzzard? I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And unfortunately, we have another missing child we're going to talk about tonight. And, you know, through the years, I've noticed a disturbing common theme among mothers of missing children. Let me explain what I mean. Let's start with Lori Vallow Daybell. This is someone who was confronted.
Before I move on tonight, I'm also going to share, they had a segment yesterday on 4 missing children on Court TV, and they spoke about Summer. So I'm going to share that later tonight too. I like Vinny. Why not?
About her children, and she lied about JJ and Tylee. Just didn't tell the truth about where they were. Made up stories, like literally out of thin air, involving her friends, and we get it. We get it. She lied because they were dead, murdered, and buried in her 5th husband's backyard. I get it why she lied. Then there's that woman from Central Florida, you know who I'm talking about, with the initial CA, had a daughter named Kaylee. Well, she lied all about Kaylee. Didn't tell the truth. Made up a story about Zanny the nanny. Confronted by her own parents, Kaylee's grandparents, and makes up a story, like invents a person who was watching Kaylee for 31 days. Complete lie. And she lied about other things too, but lied about where her missing child was. Leilani Simon, you may or may not remember her, from Georgia, South Georgia, lied about her son Quentin, who's like the cutest kid you've ever seen. Made up this story. In the end, it turns out she murdered him, threw him in the garbage, and they had to recover his remains from a landfill. Now, 2 out of those 3 paid for their lies. 1 did not pay for her lies. But that's the way our system works. You've got to prove the case beyond any and all reasonable doubt and convince all 12 jurors. And sometimes prosecutors can't do it. Let's talk now about little Melodee and her mom, Ashley. Little different here. I'm not getting a sense that she is lying about everything. I'm getting a sense that she's just not saying anything and she's not cooperating, which is an interesting tact when you have a missing child that you are solely responsible for. The child's nowhere to be found and you're not saying anything. Well, let's dive into this story. Here's what we have from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. Through their investigation, detectives have gathered evidence indicating that Melodee was with her mother, Ashley, as recently as October 7th of this year. Detectives have also determined that Ashley may have driven with Melodee in a white Chevy Malibu. This is important, okay, for folks who may be able to help in this case. License plate number 9MNG101 to locations out of their home county of Santa Barbara County in California, to include as far as the state of Nebraska. So if you live anywhere between Nebraska and Santa Barbara County, need to pay attention. You might be able to help this at this point. At this point in the investigation, Ashley Buzzard remains uncooperative and has not provided detectives with any information about Melodee's current location or condition. The primary goal of this investigation is to verify the location and welfare of Melodee Buzzard and to ensure that she is safe. But mom is saying nothing, which is absolutely bizarre. Well, let's get some more details and some more information. And joining us tonight in Santa Barbara County from our Scripps News Group, reporter Crystal Bermudez, who's been covering this story more in depth than anyone else. So, Crystal, I'm so glad that you're able to join us tonight. We appreciate your time. Let's start here because this is the first time we're doing this story for folks. How about some background about Melodee, her mom, Ashley, their living arrangements, and any information about Melodee's dad?
Yeah, Vinny. Well, just to start us off, I've been in contact with spokesperson Raquel Zick with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department.
Here's my threat from a judge's son. Let me put it real close. Big B is on your roof. Who is this? This Larry Johnson. Join back up for Brian O'Toole. We're make new round table, 210 apartment behind Target. Take old school clicks or any crew. You're going to need somebody for backup, homie. Big B is on your roof. Big Brian O'Toole. A threat from somebody named Larry Johnson. I don't know if they accidentally sent this to us, but Larry Johnson is friends with Brian O'Toole. It's in the message. Larry Johnson joins backup. Brian O'Toole. Big B is on your roof. A threat from a judge's son. For no fucking reason, I ain't seen this dude since our friend's funeral. And I never knew him prior to that. But he's a judge's son that knows the We Can Bring You Hope people. Hopefully one day that'll be seen in court. Right, Brian O'Toole, you out there? I heard about all the little boys. You think people don't talk? They do. It's your fucking head when I see you. I don't give a fuck who your dad is. Come on my roof again, bitch. Is that the night Jody came out in her vest with the walkie-talkie talking about green light, you fucking weirdos?
Apartment. She did confirm with me that when they looked into the home, that home is under Ashley Buzzard and Melodee Buzzard. So they do live together. There's no indication of anyone else living there. However, the more I am piecing more information, I'm seeing that neighbors are noticing a common theme here, right? That the little girl was often seen home and sheltered and didn't really get the opportunity to play with other kids on the block. I'm not that far away right now. I'm about 5 minutes away from the Vandenberg Village home. But from what I'm hearing from spokesperson Raquel Zick, who has been, again, communicating with me about the whereabouts of Melodee, it seems like at this point, we were able to get confirmation because of that prolonged absence that the school district had brought attention to, right? That they hadn't seen Melodee for quite some time. So originally during this investigation, it had been a year long that we didn't know in that timeline of where Melodee's whereabouts were. Then that narrowed down to August of 2025. And now with our recent update, the one that you just read there, Vinny, they're now narrowing this down between October 7th through October 14th, which investigators tell me this is really helpful in, again, locating Melodee Buzzard and pleading the public to use the information that they're sharing. Have you seen this woman with a child in that white Chevy Malibu any time between that time frame of October 7th through October 14th? And again, when you think about how far Nebraska is from Vandenberg Village here in Santa Barbara County, that's about a 20-hour drive. So if anyone has information, spread those photos around to see if anyone has had the opportunity or chance to locate Melodee in that pathway between here and Nebraska. I'm actually parked right now outside of a gas station, and while I was driving around, there's photos everywhere, flyers.
It's crazy to me. This little girl just vanishes without a trace. Her mom takes this big elaborate road trip, but the story was somebody was going to babysit this child and she was giving the child to somebody that owned zoos. Did you sell your child, Melodee? What the fuck is going? Oh no, Melodee's the child. Did the mother sell the child? Like, what's going on? The child just disappears. Nope, she's gorgeous. Look at her. Oh my God, she's a beautiful little girl. We got to get her face out there.
That says, can you help locate Melodee Buzzard? So the community here is really coming together and trying to spread that word around to help locate her.
And how about Melodee's dad? What's the story there with dad and with dad's family?
Yeah, Vinny. Well, when I first started looking into family members related to Melodee, I was first contacted with Elizabeth Meza. She's her aunt from her dad's side. She's married to her father's brother who also passed away. But from what I'm being told, her father passed away when she was 6 months old in a motorcycle crash. So he wasn't really there to see seeing her grow up through most of her life, unfortunately, through that tragedy of a motorcycle accident.
And
does anybody know? Oh, my phone's going off because I turned it on. Does anybody know if the father's family or anybody else in the family is looking for this little girl? Could you fill me in? Are there any other family members out there, or is it just Melodee and her mother?
So October 7th is an important date that we believe she was seen. Do we know the circumstances surrounding that? Like who saw her, where they saw her, and what the context was? Have we gotten any more of those details?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was the first thought that came to mind for me as well, Vinny, is who saw her? Where was she seen on October 7th? From what I'm being told from Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department spokesperson Raquel Zick, she tells me that is information that they're not sharing right away. It is part of their investigation, but right now, that's all they were able to confirm with me was that she was last seen October 7th with her mother, Ashley Buzzard.
And do we know what law enforcement is doing to try to find her, and what the process and the procedure and how much manpower they're putting behind this?
Yeah, well, speaking of manpower, when I was here on Sunday, if you were able to check out one of those reports that I did, community members, neighbors all came out here demanding and pushing for answers from Ashley outside of her house. And neighbors were telling me they wanted to organize. They created a Facebook group called In Search of Melodee. You can see that those neighbors right there on your screen right now that gathered. They were pushing for answers. They put up 4 signs that all said on both sides, "Where is Melodee?" Other signs said, "We're not going to stop until you tell us," things like that. And they wanted to organize. They organized through a Facebook group, like I mentioned, called In Search of Melodee. And they were talking about possibly starting a search party.
You know what's crazy is you see Jody Sue and lots of people say, stay out of Beach Creek, stay out of Beach Creek. But in other cases, in other neighborhoods, you see the communities coming together like this outside, where they come in, they want to start a search group. They're demanding the mother give answers. These are locals, neighbors. Why isn't that going on in Summer's case? Why do so many locals hide things in Summer's case? It's odd to me. The whole area is odd to me. And the way people act in that area is odd to me when it concerns missing Summer Wills.
When I talked to spokesperson Raquel Zick, she had told me, I wanted to know more about what goes into a search party. Is that something they want the public to do? Raquel had informed me that at this time, a search party isn't that beneficial if we don't know an exact location of where Melodee was last seen. So she could be anywhere between here and Nebraska. So starting a search party, she told me, could intervene and impede in their investigation. So they were really urging the public to maybe at this time not try to gather and start a search party, because that could impede in investigators and their current ongoing investigation. But Vinny, I do want to tell you one thing. When I was here earlier last week, I had noticed investigators going around the neighborhood and collecting surveillance footage, gathering from neighbor to neighbor, seeing how much home surveillance video could piece together a timeline. So I'm expecting and maybe hoping an update soon to see if those surveillance footage videos could expand more on where Melodee was last seen and at what time, and any other videos that we could see where she's leaving or entering the home, at least between October 7th and October 14th.
Absolutely, be extremely revealing. Let's take a listen, though. You mentioned the public that had shown up. Let's show the folks at home some of what you gathered there and speaking with them.
We're all looking for answers, but, we're showing up today so that way, she knows we care. We're here for Melodee, and hopefully she will come out and tell us where she's at.
Besides the garage being open almost 48 hours now, which we don't know if she knows or not, she was burning something in the fireplace last night, but paper was coming out.
Organization is going to be key in this. Like, if they're not going to press her until she cracks, like, I'm sorry, it's time.
Yeah, you can see the investment from the public there. Now, I know you also spoke with Melodee's grandma. I want to take a look at a part of that interview and then get some more details from you.
He said, did you know that your granddaughter was missing? And I said, missing? He goes, when's the last time you talked to your daughter? I said, I don't know, 2 years, a year and a half ago. The psychologist that I was seeing said, I said, should I be keeping these things? I keep buying them for her for Christmas and her birthday. She said, if you keep them for her, she'll know that when she was gone, you were thinking about her. So that's why I keep them. But sometimes I wonder, am I going nuts, right?
I want to take a look at another piece of the interview. This one is referencing a previous incident when Melodee was just a few months old.
About 15 minutes later, a sheriff calls me. He says, I'm at your daughter's house in Orchid, and I was just getting ready to take your granddaughter Melodee with me to CPS because we're getting ready to take your daughter to the hospital. The house was in disarray. There were raw eggs in pans. There was rotten food in the fridge that I think she was trying to give my granddaughter.
So, Crystal, what is the status of Grandma's relationship with her granddaughter and with Ashley, Melodee's mom? And is she doing anything to try to track down where Melodee is?
Yeah, well, when I met with Lori Miranda, who you saw on screen there, and who I had the opportunity to sit down and speak with, Lori told me she hadn't spoken to her daughter, at least within a 1.5 to 2 year timeline. She did tell me, and you could see in one of those clips where she has a telescope that's in a box. She unwrapped it for me on camera.
Us as grandparents, we have to be more vigilant. If our children ain't talking to us, even grown children, if there's a change in their behavior, if there's anything, you have to make sure you're checking in on them. There's a lot of parents out here today that get addicted to the opioids. We're still in an opioid crisis, and people's children are being left everywhere. That's partially why I have my kids living with me. I know my son ain't the greatest father. I'm not sitting there trying to put him down, but that's why I have him living with me. I want to make sure that my grandbabies are okay. And again, just us as grandparents, you have to be more vigilant. If there's a change and you're not speaking to your kids, reach out, make sure you're talking to them. What kind of caring parent are you if you're not reaching out and suddenly your grandbabies go missing?
And she told me she was planning to give that to Melodee on her 9th birthday that just passed on February 10th of this year. She unwrapped it and she said that she wanted to stop by and give her this gift, but she's been taking some space from Ashley. She described her mental health declining since roughly around 2016, a little after Melodee had been born.
So why do you leave this baby in her care? Why don't you call proper authorities if you know she's not mentally stable enough to take care of a child? What in the motherfuck?
Told me that she suffered with bipolar, BPD, bipolar disorder, was taking medication, has seen a psychiatrist to treat her mental illnesses. But I can't confirm that. This is just from what the mother had said to me. But again, she was just indicating to me that it's been some time. Her daughter is very erratic. Again, Ashley Buzzard. And I do want to also share that Ashley does have an older daughter. Her name is Destiny. And in that interview where she mentions that there was an incident in the past involving CPS, at the time, her oldest daughter, Destiny, was living with her, and 6-month-old Melodee Buzzard as well. She was explaining to me in detail this situation that happened in the past, again in 2016, where she received a call from law enforcement. She appeared shortly after that call and saw the status of Ashley's home when she used to live in Orcutt, California at the time. And that's when she describes seeing raw eggs on the pan, rotten food in the fridge, and believed she was feeding that to her oldest granddaughter, Destiny.
Let me ask you about, I just want to clarify, when you were talking about suffering from mental illness, you were referencing Ashley, right? Not grandma, but grandma talking about Ashley?
That's correct. Grandma had confirmed with me, at least through our conversation, that her daughter does suffer from bipolar disorder, that she often creates scenarios in her head, and that's why she took some space from her. Really, the way she described it to me is that she did not understand her daughter. She didn't know how to.
Taking space from your daughter is one thing. Taking space from your innocent grandbaby that's only 7 years old at the time would have been disgusting. So you're not coming to see your baby and check on the baby. You just leave the baby there in your daughter's care that you're saying is mentally ill, feeding your other granddaughter nasty food. Okay. Sure. You won Mother of the Year, Grandma.
To communicate with her, and that's why she felt for her own safety she needed to take a step away from her daughter, and felt a little bit of ease when she believed Melodee was going to school again, but then shortly after she put her into the homeschooling program.
Right. Now, there was another moment when you were outside of Ashley's house, Ashley and Melodee's house, when Melodee's sister or half-sister from her father's side confronts Ashley. Let's take a look at that, because that's fascinating.
While we were talking, Ashley Buzzard came out of the house.
Ashley?
And Karina quickly approached her.
Ashley, it's Karina. I just want to see if you're okay. If Melodee's okay, how you guys are doing.
So the girl has a sister, and a sister waits for the baby to go missing. to come to the house with the news there. Oh my God. My thoughts.
You have the time to speak with me?
Although she did not answer questions about Melodee, Ashley stated she was feeling overwhelmed and stressed and told Karina she did not appreciate her being parked outside when she did not want to communicate with her.
Wait, this is my number right here. If you ever want to talk to me, I want a relationship with Melodee, please. Please, Ashley. Is she okay? Are you okay?
Did she mention anything about Melodee?
No, she didn't. I did ask her if Melodee is okay, as well if she's okay, but she did not answer.
Wow. So before we run out of time here, Crystal, did you learn anything else from Karina, who is, again, Melodee's sister, older sister, half sister, but did you learn anything else from her about the family dynamics?
Yeah, that was Karina Meza. She's Melodee's half sister from her father's side. Karina was really in distress as well. She just wanted to get in contact with Ashley. She told me she had been out there for some time, wanting to reassure to Ashley that if she needed anything, if Melodee was okay. And in that quick snippet there, you see this very quick interaction between the two, Karina and Ashley. Karina told me that Ashley did cut off the family, as well as Melodee's aunt, Elizabeth Meza. She cut off the father side of the family about 4 years ago, I want to say. So there's been very little contact, or to any contact at all with Melodee. So she told me that she had a great...
The father's dead. Why didn't any of the father's family go to court and ask for custody or visitation rights with this baby? So nobody really gave a fuck about the child. Is that what I'm hearing?
Great experience when Melodee was around one time, and she had her kids there as well, and the kids were all playing, and she described Melodee just being so happy, wanting to be around family, having a big smile all the time. It was very goofy. She's very animated in the videos that I've seen of her. And so when Karina was trying to get a hold of her during that time, it was very short, very quick. And as you have mentioned, Vinny, Ashley has been uncooperative. This is what police have been telling me, is that they're not getting much out of Ashley when it involves where's Melodee's whereabouts in this situation.
She's not telling anyone. She's not telling police. She's not telling family. This is so frustrating. Crystal, we're out of time for now.
Yeah.
Great reporting. Amazing.
All
I
right.
hope you'll come back as we continue to cover this story, and we appreciate you sharing all this information. Thank you so much, Crystal. Bermudez, Scripps News Group. When we come back, we're going to bring in our think tank and try to get to the bottom of how investigators, prosecutors, or maybe a therapist can get the information that is needed. And the information is pretty simple. Where is Melodee tonight? Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinny Politan investigates a Hawaiian paradise turned into a nightmare. A doctor accused of trying to kill his own wife on a cliffside birthday hike. Prosecutors say what started as a photo op.
You tell me. I wish more than anything, David, that I would have done something.
Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
Investigators believe Ashley drove her daughter to Nebraska in a white Chevy Malibu earlier this month, more than 1,070 miles from her current Vandenberg Village home, before returning to California.
We want the public to think back to the 7th to the 14th. Did you see a mom and a daughter in this vehicle?
Ashley knows, but Ashley is saying nothing about her daughter, Melodee. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former head New Jersey County prosecutor Bob Bianchi, and national parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Great to have you both here. We're trying to get Rick King in the mix here. Let me ask you, Bob, legally, is there any way to compel this woman to tell the world where her daughter is?
As a prosecutor who's handled cases like this, Vinny, at certain points in times, you got to brute force your way into a situation. You cannot let a child who no one knows where they are, has been traveling over a significant place and period of time, whose parent is mentally ill, a single parent, no one there to care for the kid, the school's concerned, the community's concerned, the sheriff's concerned. As a prosecutor, I would start using brute force. You need to bring her in. You need to detain her. You may need to get a mental health situation going on there as to whether or not there's some sort of involuntary commitment. I know that's going to get some very upset, but the bottom line here is I'm concerned about a child and a child's well-being. And if I have to file charges for endangering the welfare of a child, which doesn't require that I show actual harm in the state of California, that's what I'm going to do.
This was a month ago. The mother has been arrested on other charges and let go. We're going to cover this tomorrow during my In Other News segment at noon. I might actually start covering this period. I'm hearing the details of it, and wow. We do know the mother was arrested. That's just not going to be in this news broadcast, and this is almost over. So we got about 5 more minutes left. Tomorrow we'll dig deeper.
Bottom line is, I need some top skilled level police officers and detectives and some mental health professionals that are going to approach her and bring her in, and let's start getting some answers. This is not a time to play games. The clock is ticking.
Dr. Sue Kornbluth, is there a way to get through to this mother and have her voluntarily just provide the information? I believe this child very well could be alive tonight.
Well, Vinny, if somebody is going to go in there and intervene and try to get her to open up, they have to approach her in a very caring, kind, compassionate, and empathetic way. If they go in there and they are accusatory of this mother, she is not going to open up at all. So the way to approach her would be with compassion, concern, care, to get her on board, to start cooperating, to open up as to where her daughter is. That would be the approach that a psychological professional would need to take here.
Also joining us, we've got him.
That though, Vinny.
One second, Bob. I just got to bring Rick into the mix. We've connected. Joining us, former police lieutenant, trial attorney Rick King. All right, Rick, let's get your take, and then we're going to go at it here. Bob's going one way. Dr. Sue seems to be going a different way. Former police lieutenant, also criminal defense attorney at this point. But Rick, what are your thoughts about how you get this mother to provide the most important information, the only thing we care about, which is where Melodee is?
Much like Candace, it kills me. I don't understand why the cops don't detain these parents on child endangerment. If your child is missing, your child is endangered. A parent should know where their child is at all times. There should be charges against these parents for not keeping an eye on their own children. Don't you think? If you hold the parents in jail on child endangerment charges, they're going to start talking, or they just get charged. You have them in one place and there's no way for them to run, because like with this mom, she's ran.
I mean, I think I agree with Bob in the sense that you got to start being aggressive with her. You got to bring her in. Clearly, you have some sort of criminal charges because you wrote a search warrant. So if you have a search warrant, there's probable cause for some crime you're saying happened. If you have probable cause for a crime, then you should make an arrest. Something. You need something to bring her in, to put the pressure on her to start finding out where the baby is, because that's what we care about right now.
Go ahead, Bob. I knew you wanted to jump in there before. Let it fly.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we get to a point where we all want to like throw up a peace sign and be kumbaya. That has not worked here. You cannot continue to wait while this child may be in jeopardy and you have a recalcitrant, reluctant, and unwilling participant in helping us identify where her child is. At a certain point in time, you got to pull the Band-Aid off, and the nice game has to end and the hard game has to begin. It's already past due, if you ask me, Vinny.
This is not about pulling off a Band-Aid, though, Bob. This is about dealing with somebody that has mental health issues. That's what it appears to be. And when you're dealing with somebody that has mental health issues, you have to be very caring towards them in order to get them to open up with information. I'm not saying that you don't haul her in. I agree with that. But once she's there, you're not going to probably get a confession out of her if you treat her as though she's guilty already.
To Dr. Seuss'
You're
point,
talking
Bob.
about the approach once you get her.
To Dr. Seuss' point, Bob, I think
you're
that what she's saying.
you're talking about the approach.
Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry. That's okay.
I think what she's saying is we're talking tactics once we get her in. I think that the idea is to get her in, and then once she's in, then there's tactics. There's a way you talk to someone with mental health problems. You don't come and you don't beat them over the head with a hammer. You try to talk to them and you appeal to whatever it is you think that they're going to respond to. It's not going to be a situation where it's bad guy. Maybe it's good guy, bad guy. Maybe it's something.
Let me ask you this, guys. Let me ask you this. Is there a problem, though, if you haul her in, the lawyer's going to jump in, is going to shut her down? Is that a potential problem? Is there any way around that? If you arrest her, charge her, she gets the public defender shuts it down. What do you do, Bob?
Yeah, Vinny, listen, I mean, first of all, I'm not talking about taking her in and hitting her over the head with a rubber hose. Of course, you try to go in there with the right approach and the best people, and there are certain people that are better at it than others, and even have mental health providers there. What I'm talking about is you need to bring her in, and the bottom line here is, if someone's constitutional, I know I'm going to say something very controversial here, okay, but it's a reality. If somebody's constitutional rights get a little fuzzy in terms of them trying to seek information, and maybe it violates Miranda, well, that means the statement gets suppressed. The bottom line here is the health and safety and welfare of the child. So if I were the prosecutor, I'd be so be it if we're on the line. That's what I'm most concerned about. The prosecution is secondary.
Yeah, don't worry.
I agree with that. I also found a missing poster for Melodee. If you guys want to go share it, she could be in California, Utah, Nevada, and we're also here in Nebraska. Her name's Melodee Buzzard. FBI toll-free tip line, 1-800-CALL-FBI, Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, 805-681-4150. If you have any tips leading to the recovery of Melodee Buzzard. I've been on 10 minutes longer than I wanted to be. And other news is over today. We're going to continue this tomorrow with more Melodee Buzzard. I think I'm going to stay on it. This needs to be spoken about. What the fuck? This mom's just out there running around like your kid's missing. Crazy. We'll look into her arrests tomorrow. All right, guys. Peace and love. I'll see you tonight. We're going to continue. What did I say? Chicken on a stick. Where did I write it? And my last, oh no, we're going to do Jody's phone calls tomorrow. We're going to do chicken on a stick, squall, some other things I wrote down. I got to find them. Her panels, chicken on a sticks panels. I still want to go over Chris McDonough's calls with Dawn. I got a whole list of shit here we're going to go over. We still haven't gone over Benny's first panel with Cher. We might do that too. We'll see where we go. All right, guys. Peace and love. See you later tonight. Bye.